What's going on, guys? My name is CBS. Welcome back to another Destiny video. Today, Bungie released a full weapon tuning preview for the Rise of Iron expansion DLC, and there's a lot of information in there. Now, I'm going to be covering all of it, but I'm going to break it down into 3 separate videos so I can cover it all and not miss any important information. Now, this first video, aka this one right here, is going to be on all the exotic changes. The second video will be about the weapon meta changes, and the third one is going to be all about the perk changes. Now, if you want to see any of those videos other than this one right here, they will be prompted on the screen right over there. You can go click on them, or they will be linked in the description box below. So either way, you can click on them now or click away. Doesn't make a difference as long as you see the information, so you know how these weapons and how these perks and how these exotics are changing and how the Rise of Iron is going to go moving forward. So with that being said, let's talk exotics now. Right over here, this is the official, I guess, weapons tuning preview page from Bungie.net. Now, the first one they talk about is Fabian strategy. Now it says they talk about, you know, I guess to give it a little verbiage here, doubling down on Titan's role to hold the front line. Fabian strategy users will now be able to hold down the trigger to melt enemies until there are none left. Now, basically what that means in normal terms is kills with this weapon automatically load a portion of the magazine, and they also increase the base range by 16% and stability by 44%. Now the stability boost, right, to me is the biggest one because it has a decent rate of fire, but its stability kind of jumps. And to be honest, the Fabian strategy is right now, as it stands, is a terrible gun for PvP and PvE. It didn't really have any good uses. It didn't serve a purpose. Whereas now, with it having a stability boost, I could see it maybe competing in PvP, maybe. But it's really, I see these changes for this exotic really being tailored more towards the PvE side, with the increased range and the load a portion of the magazine back with kills. So when you think of it as you're killing like a dreg or a thrall, something that's quick and easy, you can just continually hold the trigger and mow enemies down. Very similar to like the No Time to Explain or the Bad Juju, something like that, where you're continually getting rounds back from slaying. So that's how I see that working. So I like that add to the Fabian strategy. Now the next weapon they talk about is the Thorn. This is what they say: since we are bringing back the Thorn for Rise of Iron, it's worth reevaluating its place in the weapon ecosystem. Now it talks about the Thorn's strengths: damage over time. It has the fastest family of hand cannons rate of fire, so obviously highest rate of fire in the family of hand cannons, and effectively best in class range. So because it has Send It, and they took that perk away from all of the hand cannons. So with Thorn being the only weapon hand cannon wise having Send It, it already outclasses other ones in range. So to avoid a repeat of year 1, we, aka Bungie, have decided to remove one of the elements from the equation. They reduced the base range by 25%. Now a 25% range decrease is pretty substantial, considering hand cannons already right now in this current meta struggle with range. So if you're ever using a Last Word or a Hawk Moon and you ever feel like you got those ghost bullets, a lot of times, one, it's frame rate because we're only playing on 30 frames per second, but 2, it's because of the range. A lot of times the variations in range will cause those ghost bullets to happen. So the 25% decrease in range on a Thorn will affect it a lot. Now, will it change how people use the Thorn? No, I don't think so. Thorn is definitely a weapon that you use, especially now. It's not as good of a slayer like it used to be, but it's definitely a good weapon to control areas and a great team weapon. So if you have people using scout rifles or anything, pulse rifles, and you're hitting them with Thorn, your teammate, you can get a lot of assist, and you can help your teammates slay a lot easier with this weapon. Now picture a map like Burning Shrine, like the pivotal or the peak of Trials of Osiris maps, right? You got those long corridors, and a lot of times people will sit from across the map and use the Thorn. At least previously, they would use the Thorn as a long range deterrent from sniping. So with this one reducing the range by 25%, the likelihood of you even being able to hit somebody from across the map, at least from shrine to shrine, end to end, is going to be unlikely. So I think that's a good change. I'm not the biggest fan of Thorn. I was in year 1, but it got really played out really fast, and I think that's a good starting point. I think that's a good direction for them, because I would hate to see Thorn ruin the meta or ruin the Crucible like it did in year 1. So I like the fact that they're at least not only giving us the artifact to reduce damage over time, but they're also reducing the base range of the Thorn specifically by 25%. So that's definitely a much needed change. Now the universal remote is next up. An exotic shotgun not gated by the special ammo economy was already a dangerous tool, but as players honed their mastery of their strong mobility options that Destiny has to offer, a hair-pulling combination was born. A range reduction helps bring the efficiency of these sorts of tactics down a bit. So the universal remote, if you don't know, its exotic perk is universal remote, which increases its range, right? So the exotic perk range bonus is being reduced by 75%, no longer guaranteeing maximum shotgun range. And they're also increasing the rate of fire, but it's going to lower the damage effectively just because of the rate of fire increase. Now, when I think about the universal remote, I hate getting killed by it, 1, because it's such a strong weapon, but 2, I have trouble combating it because the universal remote has some really good range, you know what I mean? But on the flip side to that, the reason why it can even compete as a primary weapon is because of its range. You know, if you're running up against people all using grasps of Malik and or hawk saws and things like that, it's going to be hard for you to compete with a primary shotgun with no range. So I feel like they're essentially killing this weapon for year 3. The reason, like I said, the reason it was even able to compete with these other weapons as a primary is because of the double range increases that you can get with it. But if they're going to reduce it by 75%, you might as well just use a regular shotgun as your secondary and use a regular primary to compete. So I'm not sure what the thinking was on that. I can understand reducing the range if you don't want, you know, people to abuse it, especially Titans with like force barrier and things like that, but 75% is a huge decrease. So we'll see how much they look. People that love the universal remote will continue to use it and find a way, but that's a huge decrease. DREGS Promise is next, fitting in with the return of sidearms. DREGS Promise is getting a little more love. Increased damage by 8%, increased magazine size by 3. Now, if you don't remember what they did to DREGS Promise in year 2, they added like seeking rounds to it, which, not year 3, but in the April update, they added seeking rounds to it, and it effectively made it a very viable option as your secondary weapon. And it's a really fun weapon to use. In my notes, I wrote, this weapon is pretty fun to mess around with. It already has seeking rounds, but now with an 8% damage increase, it may be a viable option to take into the Crucible as your exotic slot. For people using universal remote and they losing that range, if you hit them enough, swap to the DREGS Promise, finish them off with those seeking rounds that, you know, with the 8% increase, sidearms are already strong right now in the current meta. So with the DREGS Promise getting individually getting a 8% damage increase, it could add an interesting new wrinkle to the meta that we see right now. So I don't have any problems with that change. It's definitely a new one. So now the next one, Touch of Malice. It is intended that the Touch of Malice still shine best in King's Fall, but outside of the raid, clever players have figured out how to avoid Touch of Malice's single drawback by imbuing themselves with blessings of light, but the darkness has been boiling stronger within the gun. Touch of Malice self-damage inflicting now removes blessing of light. Now, obviously, they clearly stated it right there. They don't want the Touch of Malice to be abused. You know what I mean? For all of year, well, since the year 2, all of year 2, basically, we as a community have been cheesing the raid and strikes and anything PvE related with the Touch of Malice with double damage, knowing that we can use a Titan with blessings of light. So I get it. I mean, it sucks because I like the little cheesy things. I like whatever the easiest way to finish a activity faster or easier, I'm all for it. You know, like the Gallahorn cheeses from, you know, back in the day, whatever the case, I was okay with those. But I understand why Bungie's doing this, because it does affect the game. It changes the way people play the game, and it affects the longevity of the game as a whole. So I understand the update or the patch. So, and then next one is going to be Bullen Gemini. This super versatile weapon receives another tool in its kit, and it added intrinsic perk high caliber rounds. Now, if you don't know what intrinsic means it has it by nature. So that means that it's going to have it naturally, just like an exotic perk. So the Bullen Gemini, this weapon is already a very strong weapon in PvE, and it has some uses in PvP, you know, at range. So adding high caliber rounds as an intrinsic perk is definitely going to be, it's definitely going to make it a lot stronger in the PvP realm, and maybe even in sweaty environments, because with high caliber rounds, you know, along with that's going to come is more flinch to people's ADS. So it's going to make it harder for them to stay on target when they're firing at you, as well as making it easier for you to continually hit them on target. So I think that's a good change, because besides PvE, Bullen Gemini was a hard justification to bring it into PvP. So that's a good change. And then the last exotic specifically that they changed is arguably one of my favorites in the game. You got Red Death is definitely one of my favorites, but No Time to Explain is a close second. And they say here, I'm going to respect the spirit of the weapon with this one. Add intrinsic perk Head Seeker. Oh my God, Bungie, I love you and I hate you right now. No Time to Explain is already, like I said, it's already one of my favorite exotics period for PvE and PvP, because you know, you get your bullets back when you land headshots, and it's got strong power, and it looks cool. But adding Head Seeker as an intrinsic perk is going to make it a beast in the Crucible, because it's already got a great stat tree period, let alone adding Head Seeker. Head Seeker is obviously it's I'm not gonna say it's a must for PvP, but for this archetype, for slow rate of fire, high damage output pulse rifles, Head Seeker is a perk that you definitely want. And adding that to the No Time to Explain is going to be amazing, and it's going to be frustrating to deal with. So it's going to be fun to see how people play it out. So those are going to be the exotic changes that Bungie put out today. Like I said, there's going to be 3 videos that come out with this one. It's going to be this one. It's going to be the weapons meta changes, as well as the, excuse me, I got a little burp, as well as the perk changes coming to Rise of Iron. So if you want to click that, they will be in the link in the description box below, or you can click on my channel and go to those as well. So they will be linked everywhere. They're going to be in the iCards. They're going to be all over the place. So go check them out if you want to know, or you can just click the Bungie link directly in the description box as well. So with that being said, my name is CBS. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to smash a like. It really does help my channel grow. I'm so looking forward to Rise of Iron. Today we have 12 days left. I put out my use it or lose it video earlier this morning. Then we got these 3 videos. So the content just keeps rolling. So does my channel, and I appreciate you guys' support along the way. So with that being said, again, my name is CBS. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new, tell your mother to call me, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.
Oh, what are you waiting for? Do it!